Hi everyone. All right, in today's video, we're going to work on relations again with a word problem this time. So this is relations word problem for Algebra 1. Here we go. All right, this is number 64. So on average, 7 plants grow for every 10 seeds of a certain type planted. Make a table and show the relation between seeds planted and plants growing for 50, 100, 150, and 200 seeds. Then state the domain and range and graph the relation. Okay, so the first thing we need to break down is what does the 7 and the 10 mean? So let's talk about that. It says for every 7 plants, it says 7 plants grow for every 10 seeds. So that is actually called a slope, right? Or you can call it a constant of proportionality. It's the change in y divided by the change in x. So basically we would write it like this: 7 over 10. All right, now they want us to make a table. We're gonna have 50 seeds, then 100 seeds, then 150 seeds, and then 200 seeds. Okay, so they want to know what happens at 50 seeds. Well, again, from our slope, right? This is our slope. We know that for on average, 7 plants grow for every 10 seeds. So this is 7 plants, 10 seeds. Okay, so what we can do is do a little proportion over here. So we have 7 plants for every 10 seeds. We're going to set that equal to a blank space over 50 seeds. All right, so we know that we're going to have 50 seeds. And so we can say, okay, well, how am I going from 10 to 50? It's always going to be either multiplication or division. So in this case, it's multiplication. So how am I going from 10 to 50? It's 10 times 5. Which means I have to do that on the top, right? Whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. Okay, so 7 times 5 is 35. So 35. All right, now I could write this fraction again, right? Or I could just see maybe a pattern. If 50 seeds is 35 plants, then 100 seeds will be 70 plants. Okay, so I just doubled that, right? 50 to 100, 35 to 70. Okay, so now I'm going to stick with the 50. So 50 to 150 would be times 3, right? If I'm going 50 all the way to 150, that would be times 3. So then I would just do 35 times 3, right? So we have 50 times 3 equals 150. So then 35 times 3 equals, well, 35 plus 35 is 70, and then another 35 would be 105. All right, here we go. Now, once again, I'm going to stick with the 50 and go all the way to the 200. That's going to be times 4, right? 50 times 4 is 200. So we write that down again. 50 times 4 equals 200. So then we go, okay, well, 35 times 4. Well, I know 35 times 2 is 70, so if I double that again, I will get 140. Okay, so now I have my table that they asked me to find. Now they want me to state the domain and range, so let's do that really quick. Let's go with a different color here. All right, domain. Now, if you watched one of my previous videos on this, we talked about how domain is all possible x values. So all possible x values, we have 50, comma, 100, comma, 150, comma, 200. All right, and you always write the domain and range in least to greatest. Okay, so now we have the range. And that's all possible y values. So we have 35, comma, 70, comma, 105, comma, 140. Okay, now these are your domain and range. Now, just a quick side note here, because they asked you for specific points, right? 50, 100, 150, 200, we stayed right there. And so that's why the range is also specifically for things. But if they had said like, oh, this is going to go on, you know, forever, they want to know, you know, if they just keep buying plants, what will happen, then you would have to create something where you show that it's like it goes up by 35 each time forever, basically. But we're stopping right here at the 140. All right, so now they want a graph. So here we go, x comma y. Okay, so now we are going to graph the relation. Now, because we have such big numbers, I'm going to count by a big increment to make it possible to fit on this graph. So here we go, 200. All right, so let's plot it up. The first one is 50, 35. So 50 for the x, 35 for the y. So just below that first notch. Then we have 170, so 100 for the x, 70 for the y, just about there. Then we have 150, 105, 150, 105. There we go. And then we have 200 and 140. 200 and 1. All right, there it is. 200 and 140. Okay, now we're going to take our ruler. And as you can see, you have a nice line there. Okay. So we can see that this is going up the same amount each time. All right. Thank you all so much for tuning into this video. I really appreciate it. This is again the relations for Algebra 1. This is a word problem example where we're taking the word problem and the information, changing the relation into a table and to a graph, and stating the domain and range. Great job on finishing today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, tell your friends and family. And if you want to dive deeper into chapter test work, you can check out my Skool platform, skool.com. The link will be in the bio below. And if you want more information on one-on-one tutoring, you can check out my website, rgtutors.com. Thank you again, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye for now.